it on preheat. That was the best turkey ever. Everybody loved that turkey, but it was because they were so damn drunk by the time the turkey came out of the oven. It tasted great. So I'm not a cook.
I've been to your house before, and it was pretty darn good.
Well, that was an accident. Sometimes even a blind dog finds a bone.
Well, I have to be honest, I've never had a Thanksgiving turkey go bad. For some reason, that's my, I don't know, I'm lucky on that
Show
one.
off.
Yeah, I know, but I can't say that cooking-wise, otherwise, is that I have a couple stories to tell. I might as well get them out of the way. The first one was, I think I must have been maybe a freshman in high school, and my mom had to go out of town, and so she told me, you have to take care of your dad. He comes home for lunch every day, so you got to make sure you have lunch ready for him when you come home. So, okay, no problem. One of my specialties is spaghetti. Anybody can cook spaghetti, right, with Prego or and all of that around the hamburger. So I got everything all ready, and my dad walks in, and I've got the noodles all cooked and everything, but we didn't have a strainer, or whatever you want to call them, sieves or whatever. And my mother would always take the lid to the pot and tip it a little bit, and then she would, like that.
And all the heat comes up in your face.
Well, yeah, and all the steam comes up and everything. Well, I'm like, my mom, I can do all this. I'm doing it. The pot lid slips, and all of the spaghetti goes down into the garbage disposal. And I'm screaming, no. And my dad comes into the kitchen. He says, "What's wrong?" And I said, "All the spaghetti's gone down into the garbage disposal." And he just sat there for a minute, and he said, "Oh, okay." He reached down into the garbage disposal, pulled out all the spaghetti, slapped it back in the pot, rinsed it off a little bit.
Oh, my God.
With hot water, and he says, "There, now we can eat it."
That's what I would have done.
That was a father would be the only one, or maybe, a really super nice husband would do something like that. And, I must have a habit. Well, the end of that story is like a week later we had a sieve. In other words, somebody, I don't remember if Dad bought it or Mom bought it, but that wasn't going to happen again.
Dad didn't want to hear the shrieking.
But I was so shocked when it went right down into the garbage disposal. It was just, you can't happen to me.
Oh.
And then there was another time when my mom called me. She was a nurse, and she was at the hospital, and she called me and says, "I put a blueberry pie. It should be about time to come out." Like you, I didn't cook. I was just a teenager. I was just being me, so I went with the hot pads to pull it out, but it was an aluminum foil pie, and it went into, and half of the pie went onto the door of the oven. And I, why me? And so I called my mom and told her. She said, "Well, scrape up as much as you can and put it back." They were very understanding. So it was a blueberry pie, and up to that point I did not like blueberry pie, but because I had to clean it up, I was always licking my fingers because it was hot and it was a mess, and I kept thinking, this isn't so bad. That's how I learned to like blueberry pie. But I had to pick it up.
More pies with a spoon than you can shake a stick at.
Yeah, so then, but I have another one, but I can share it. So go ahead and let somebody else talk.
Okay, well, Cheyenne, what you got?
When I was 16, I used to be in 4-H, and I did all these things, and I actually cooked then. I don't know how I did because I can't cook now. But I baked this pie, and it was beautiful. It was an apple pie. It came out perfect, the crust, everything. And then my dad cuts it open, and he's like, serves himself a piece, and then he bites into it, and he goes, you didn't peel the apples. And I have never lived that down. My dad still gives me a hard time about that one.
Yeah, your family never turns loose of those stories.
No.
They never do. So, Dani, how about you?
Well, let's see. I don't have too many bad ones, but
That's true.
No, lucky you.
well, you know, everybody that knows me and knows my neighborhood, it's almost like if you move into my neighborhood, it's mandatory that you be a bunco enthusiast. And not only do you play bunco, but it is a sport as to who can outdo the next guy hosting the bunco party. So, yeah, I mean,
That is no lie.
it really becomes quite a deal. So, I mean, it can be whether it's the food or how you've got your house decorated or whatever extra game you can think of, but you always have to outdo the other guy. So I decided, all right, well then I am a really good meatball maker. I mean, I put my meatballs up against anybody's because I was taught by my Italian mother-in-law, who was taught by her Italian mother, and so on down the line. And it was like mandatory to make these meatballs to even get into the family. So I do make good meatballs. So I decided I would make the full deal for the bunco. And I made the meatballs and the spare ribs and the homemade sauce and the homemade raviolis. I mean, I had a spread that you couldn't believe. Cooked for like 3 days, and I wouldn't let anybody touch anything. Nobody got to sample. Nobody got, because it was all for the bunco girls. So
How did you manage to keep Bob out of it for 3 days?
it was very hard. So that I had everything set up, and my neighbor was helping me. Sandy was down setting up, and we were getting everything all just perfect. The tables were up. I think we had like 21 girls coming that night. So they all come in and they're all drinking and and I'm thinking, you know what, maybe I really should taste one of these meatballs and make sure that it's okay before I really serve them. So I dipped one out on my little paper plate with my little plastic fork. I went to cut into it, and that thing was like, I could not. And I'm like, oh. And I pressed really hard, and my little fork snapped in half. The meatball went flying across the floor. I think one of the dogs grabbed it. I'm like, oh my God. Because it's like anything else, I think, just like editing our books, if you try too hard and you overwork something, it doesn't quite. So I had got really extra lean meat. And I had really worked them so they were, you know, the perfect size. And anyway, they were hard as a golf ball. It would knock you out if you got hit in the head with one of them. But everything else was perfect. But oh, those meatballs, I was so embarrassed, just so embarrassed. And everybody was so nice, and they told me how good they were. And I knew better. They were like little golf balls. So that was pretty bad. So next time, I will make sure they are taste tested, and I will not get the extra lean meat so that they're so rock hard. But that was pretty bad. I'm still embarrassed over that. I'll have to do it again just so I can let them know I really can make a meatball. That was horrible.
You need me to move into your neighborhood so that the last plate is held down firmly.
Well, you know, I try and every time a house goes up for sale, I'm the first guy that says, who wants to come to my neighborhood? And does anybody ever raise their hands? No, you guys don't.
Of course not. It requires money.
Requires cooking.
Yeah, that's true. And decorating.
You've got to pass the bunco. If you want to be on this street, you have to pass the inspection of the bunco girls.
I would never pass. I'm too echoey.
Oh, you would pass. They already like you. You guys are already invited all the time.
Oh, yeah, but not my house. It's just one
That
big
was the worst. That was the worst because I do make a good meatball, but I sure didn't that night.
She's a good cook, period. There's no if buts about it.
Pretty bad. That was pretty bad. And I have another really bad one, but I'll tell it later after you guys tell another one because it gets really bad.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. I've got one. When I first started internet dating, I met a very nice man from Tennessee, and we're still friends today. And hi, Jake. But anyway, he was so sweet. After we met, I actually went back there and we met, and then I came back here, and he sent me a gift about a month later, and he knew that I loved sweet cream butter and pickled beets. And so he sent me these sweet pickled beets and this pound of sweet cream butter that he had bought at some market. It's like the farm market. So it was just really fresh stuff. And I was really excited about this butter. And so I decided one day that I was going to have some of this butter. I pulled it out of the refrigerator and I went to get some bread to toast it, and I didn't have any bread. So I thought, well, really had my mouth set for some butter, the bread is really only the vehicle to carry the butter.
Yeah.
So I decided, I looked in the refrigerator and there was a very old box of Bisquick in the back of the refrigerator. And I thought, well, I can make biscuits. So I pulled the Bisquick out and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, been there a long time. That Bisquick doesn't go bad. It can't go bad. It'll be fine. So I pour it out and I get some milk and I mix up enough batter for 2 biscuits. And I put the batter in the pan and I put the pan in the oven. Now, you got to realize that my stove about 20 years ago, the handle came off of it. And I'm a little bit scattered sometimes. So I took this handle and I put it over here. And then the fitting came off. And so I took the fitting and I put it over there. And then somebody helped me clean and they put it God knows where. So by the time I finally went looking for the handle to put it back on the stove, I had the handle, but not the fittings. So 20 years later, my stove still does not have a handle on it. And that's not a big deal for me because I don't cook. But everybody that comes in my kitchen goes, your stove doesn't have a handle on it. Your oven doesn't have a handle on it. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And they were like, well, how do you get it open? And I said, well, you use this big screwdriver and an oven mitt.
Just what I say.
So here I'm ready to put these biscuits in the oven. So I get out the screwdriver and the oven mitt and I get the door open and I get the biscuits in the oven and the door closed and the biscuits are cooking. Well, the time comes, the biscuits are supposed to be done. So I open the oven door and I look and these biscuits they're forming this crust, but they're real hard. They haven't risen at all. They're just like crusty white little biscuits. And I said, well, they seem to be done in the middle. They just looked weird. So I thought, well, I know how to brown them. Turn it on broil. So I put them back in the oven, set the oven on broil. And I was smart enough to know you got to leave the door cracked if you got it on broil. But the door wouldn't stay cracked and I didn't have a handle to hold it. So I had to grab something to put in the opening to keep this door cracked. So I found this big wooden spoon and I put this spoon in the opening and and a couple minutes later, all of a sudden the smoke alarm's going off and I'm running into the kitchen and I pull this door open with the oven mitt and I've got the spoon and I bring the spoon out and there's a 2-inch flame coming out the end of the spoon. I've set the spoon on fire and I'm looking at it thinking, what? Why is that on fire? How did that happen? And then it dawned on me, the spoon is on fire in your hand. So then I panic, I turn around and I fling it across the kitchen toward the sink. And fortunately, there was water in the sink and it went into the water. It's probably the only time I ever threw something and hit what I was aiming at, or it would have burned my entire house down. So I do know that you can set wooden spoons on fire in your oven. I did a blog on it and I announced to everybody I cannot cook. I simply cannot cook. My cousin Glenna said, no, don't say you can't cook. That sounds bad. You need to just say you can't bake. No, the turkey, I simply can't cook. I mean, I can't. What I tell people now is I can cook. If it comes in a can, I can cook it. So,
how'd the biscuits come out?
Can you top that?
How did the biscuits come out? I missed that. I got the flaming spoon.
Well, the biscuits came out and they looked very strange. And when I finally pried them off the pan, they kind of flipped out like hockey pucks. And so I thought, well, okay. And I opened them up and I put a little butter on them, and I took a bite and thought, okay. And I tried another bite and I thought, no, not even for the butter.
If it would have been me, I would have just taken a knife and took out some of that sweet butter.
Now,
Well, that's what I did. I actually tried to scrape the melted butter off the top with a spoon, but it tasted like smoke.
Oh, I'm so glad I'm not the only one that likes to eat butter right off the spoon.
Oh, no.
Rail wants to know, how was Jake's butter?
I don't think I'm going to touch that one.
Oh, that's Gerow. There's nothing better than sweet butter, I have to admit.
Oh, I love butter.
Yeah.
We bought some in Ohio at the Amish at a farm thing, and boy, is that stuff good. Yeah, you can't beat it, but it's real soft, so you have to watch it. You can't leave it sit out for too long. So anyway,
I leave my butter on the counter for weeks.
Me too.
I don't have a problem with it.
No.
It's soft. Butter doesn't go bad.
I like it soft. I like the butter soft.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I get.
It's not mold growing on it. It's good.
No, I get the real butter, and I keep it, in the refrigerator. But during the winter, I'll bring it out. Uh-oh. Did we lose you, or did something happen?
Am I gone?
Kitchen
Yeah, now you're back.
Somebody's almost caught their kitchen on fire a few times too. So you're not alone.
Yay.
I caught a piece of paper on fire or something, a napkin or something, and I'm holding it, and it's like burning my fingers, and I'm running to the sink because I'm afraid to drop it and catch my kitchen on fire.
Well, you can do it. I didn't throw it.
But it was a piece of paper.
The paper is not going to go like a spoon.
I set my fingernail on fire before. Your acrylic nail. I've set those on fire before trying to.
Oh my gosh.
No, I did too. Which is why I was using the spoon.
I set an apple bag on fire. Have you ever made one of those? Apple pie bag that's baked in a paper bag?
No, I haven't. I heard they're good though.
Oh, they're absolutely delicious. But
Like
I
a recipe for
sure
disaster
that
for me.
the top of it was, closed or brought down, so it touched the top oven coils or whatever you call those, and it caught on fire, and that scared me for a little bit. So now when I bake them, I staple the top so it doesn't, and then I look, to make sure that there's no paper touching anywhere. But they come out delicious. Very nice.
Village makes a perfectly good pie.
That's true. That's true. That is true.
You can
And I
even
don't have to burn my house down.
Yeah, and then there's the frozen kind you can get at the grocery store. That's the cream pie. Just let it defrost.
I've been doing that. I got a claim jumper the other day that was the apple crumb topping, Dutch apple. It was the claim jumper frozen that you baked. It looks very good.
Yeah, but you got to turn the oven on.
Oh yeah, you got to turn the oven on.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Well, I get pretty lazy now, and I go to Costco and buy their huge pies.
Yeah, that one's good too.
Yeah, and when we lived over there on 51st Avenue, we would go to Marie Callender's and get their pies, and you had to wait in line to get those pies.
Yeah, put your name in. I used to do that.
Yeah, well, now they're gone. So.
God, the coffee drive-through coffee shop.
Oh yeah, it's something weird. I sure missed that. So, but Costco makes really good pies, I have to admit.
Yeah, they make my cheesecake every year.
Oh, yeah, cheesecake's another one that's good. So,
They make my homemade cheesecake.
Do you see all the fun stuff Rail's done over there? I don't know how to pronounce your name.
I can't read that and watch what you guys are doing.
Okay, she filled a cake pan, it overflowed, and the whole inside of the oven was on fire, and she had to call 911.
And that's only her second one. Above that, she had to put oil. She put oil in her wok and got distracted and came back, and flames were so high she had to take it out in the backyard.
Okay.
Okay, I think I want to know what neighborhood she lives in. It doesn't need her and I both in the same neighborhood.
No, she might get the crown for the worst. She might outdo you. She might outdo you, Kayce.
That's fun. That's great, Ralph. Thanks.
Before it's burned, I see.
Just to answer your question, Rel, we do blab once a week at 4 p.m. So go enjoy having your dinner and don't burn it.
Yeah. Come back.
Yeah.
Stick to carry out. Which is where what I'm having tonight. I just sent my husband for tacos.
Well, when I was in high school, you were talking about stories that your family continues to tease you about. I had a date coming over. I was a teenager, living at home, and my date was going to come, and this was one of those times. I usually like to meet my dates at the car because my mother was very bizarre, and I didn't want to have to introduce them. She wouldn't. She's deaf, and she would make me interpret dirty jokes for them, and I didn't want to do that. So I would try and meet him at the car, but she started to catch on, and so she told me I had to have this one in the house. She wanted to meet him. So I was like, oh, okay, But then I looked around at the house, and it was a disaster. The kitchen was full of dirty dishes, and when you walked in, that was the first thing you saw in our house back then was the kitchen. So I ran around grabbing all these dishes, and I stacked them as compactly as I could, and I stuffed them all in the oven. And then I wiped the counters down, and the kitchen looked fabulous when my date came to pick me up. I got home that night, and my mom said, why are all those dishes in the oven? I said, well, I didn't have time to wash them. And so the word got out. And my aunt and uncle for years would tell that story to anybody that I brought around the family. Oh, yeah, watch the way she cleans the kitchen. Watch for dirty dishes in the stove.
So, really lucky I have done that, Lori. I did that before, too. So I've stuffed a few.
You and I are simpatico.
It's the Arkansas in us. I know I parked a few dirty pans in the oven before in an emergency situation.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then you forget that, pan that's in the oven, and you find it a week later. My niece was telling me a story earlier today about some chicken she'd cooked. And she took it out and she ate her chicken and she left it back in the oven, or she left it on top of the stove. When she got back, somebody else had cleaned the kitchen. And so she thought they'd put the chicken away. Well, throughout the week, they're starting to smell stuff, and they're starting to move the refrigerator. They're moving the stove. They're looking for a dead mouse. There's something dead in the kitchen. And finally, it was about a week and a half later when they got one of those cardboard pizzas from Walmart, brought it home and went to stick it in the oven. And it was the chicken full of maggots.
Oh, dear, that's terrible.
I said, I thought I was the only one that did that.
No, but I did it once with carryout, where you leave a restaurant with your carryout food and you put it in the trunk of the car because you got people in the back seat, and then you totally forget about it. And then weeks later, you're driving and you're going, oh, my God, and you're rolling the windows down because you can't figure out what that horrible smell is. And then later on, someday you're going to go somewhere and you pop the trunk and there's all this, like, oh, my God, there's my steak and my salmon. No wonder that car smelled so bad.
Well, in Arizona, you never leave anything with milk in it in the car.
Right.
Even close in the summer for even an hour.
Oh,
that's true. That's true.
You cannot get that smell out.
I have come back from a trip, like a week or 2 week trip, and get my car out of the parking garage, and my leftover coffee with the coffee creamer in it is in the truck, and it's like, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good at leaving stuff in the microwave. You know,
Me too.
heat something up and then run off and do something and totally forget about it. And a day later, I go to use the microwave. It's still sitting in there. But fortunately for me, can't, you know, allergies, so I wouldn't smell it if it did stink. And I think Jay's just as bad, so we're pretty good on that one.
My grandsons hang around me a lot, and the standing joke in the family is if grandma's looking for something, it's either her glasses and they're on her head, or it's her coffee and it's in the microwave.
Yeah, that's me too.
Yeah.
Me too. A lot of coffee. In fact, when Dani and I are at a restaurant working and stuff, and I'll just hold up my coffee cup and it's about half full, and I say, "Can you just stick this in the microwave and heat it up?" And they look horrified, like, you know, you don't want it. And they want to give me a fresh cup, and I said, "No, it's not necessary. Just throw it in the microwave because I just want it hot. I don't want it, you know, full cup."
I'm putting ice in mine because I want it cool.
Yeah, she's just the opposite. We're
Me too.
so opposite of each other and stuff.
Yeah.
She likes it cool, and I like it hot. So yeah, that's us.
That's us, all right.
So Cheyenne, any more stories?
Well, I have one, but it really is awful, and I hope we don't get hate mail from it.
What?
Okay.
Well, I gotta hear this one.
Maybe there's nobody that would care, but
What you do? Cook a puppy?
huh?
What you
No,
do? Cook a puppy?
back in the day, you know, we used to raise horses, and we lived on the little mini ranch, and we had brood mares, and we had, you know, lots of horses. Well, we had this one mare, and she had slipped, and we lost the baby. So Bob and Mike had gone out, and they had buried this foal, but it, you know, I mean, it wasn't fully developed or anything, but they buried it and put it out in the paddock and in the ground. So, you know, that was fine. So then my mother was living with us at that time. And my mother was very, very into her church group in her later years. And because she was confined to a wheelchair pretty much through the last part, she had her church ladies over a lot. And they would come and they would have, you know, coffee and read their Bible or talk about whatever they did, you know. And so I had told her one of the last, I said, "Don't worry, I'll make all the food and you just invite your little friends over." So she had about 8 ladies over, and they were in the kitchen and they were eating their little sandwiches and drinking their punch, and they were talking whatever they talk. And all of a sudden somebody says, "What is that horrible smell?" And we're like, "I don't know." So this is really bad. I'm really sorry. So
The boys didn't bury it deep enough, did they?
obviously they did not, because, you know, we have these dogs. I had a Malamute and I had a Shepherd and Concord. We had all these dogs, but we were on a little mini farm. So it was okay.
Oh no, we lose her at the punchline.
We lost her on
We
the
had dug
punchline.
up
No.
that poor little baby horses.
Oh, wait. Back up, Dani. We lost you. You were on
Well,
a mini
somebody
farm. Oh. We got audio only, honey.
Can you hear?
I can hear, we can hear you. We can't see you.
Do you hear me? Oh, well, that's
Go
right.
ahead
You
and
can't
finish
see
your
me. That's
story. You were
probably
on the mini
just-
farm, so it was okay.
That stupid Malamute dog had dug up that baby horse's hind leg and drug that hoof and under the dining room table. So they're all sitting around eating their little tea sandwiches and drinking their tea, and there's this dog under the table with this bone and hoof. And
I think that's the best story today.
it was horrible. It was horrible. So I don't think they all knew, but they were trying to figure out what was going on. So anyway, had my son ran in and got it and took it outside. And the dog, everybody went out with the dog, the bone, everything. And the next day I had Bob poured a slab of concrete over the top of the little grave so that wouldn't happen again. But I was like, oh, that was horrible.
And I know exactly what it smelled like because I had a neighbor help me bury a foal one time and we didn't get it deep enough. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. That was pretty sad. But anyway, that was, the food came out all right, but that was kind of a disaster as far as having people over to have luncheon.
That Dani, she had lots of animals and stuff like that, and to this day, I still think about the people that are that have bought her place. What they're going to find in that back paddock.
My house is the same way. We've got dogs, cats, guinea pigs, chickens, ducks,
cemetery,
horses. We got, you name it. It's like a graveyard out there.
Yeah.
We don't plow too deep.
I know it. No. Everything got buried back out there in the paddock, and our neighbor. We had this Malamute dog, as you know, that would jump the fence at night and go ransack the neighbors. It would go in through doggy doors and bring things home. It got so bad that I would put a box out front with all the things that this dog brought home so that when the kids on their way to school, they could pick through and find their missing shoe or their doll or their doll's blanket or whatever might be in there. And but they had chickens. And it was like every now and then one of those chickens would get up and walk along the back of our fence. And then you would find out in the paddock just feathers, everywhere. And you'd see the dog, she'd walk and back and forth back. And she'd just, you could hear her out there going, here, chickie, chick, chick.
I had one that would do the same thing.
But I really, really miss living on the farm. It was a lot of fun. And every time I tell Bob, I sure miss living on the farm, he says, not a chance.
It's a lot of work.
Not a chance.
Did the same thing too. She would bring me and leave me little gifts outside the door whenever a chicken would get under the fence. I'd have a beak and 2 feet, or I'd have a pile of entrails. It was like,
oh yeah, they never ate the feet.
They
always wanted the feet sticking up. Pile of feathers and 2 feet.
Cheyenne, I think you and I are the normal ones.
Well, it damn sure ain't me.
Obviously, it's not me. But I do miss, every time I drive by that house, I always look and think, oh, I kind of miss it.
It's amazing how many of us in the Butterscotch Martinis grew up on farms or ranches.
Yeah.
There's 5 of us.
Yeah, that's
I didn't. I grew up right next door to a grain elevator. Does that count? So when they while they were drying the wheat, the whole area smelled like baked bread, and of course, can't have it.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, that would just make me want to eat.
And because I lived in Kansas, and the wind blows forever in Kansas, and that would hit that elevator and do a swirly thing and sandblast whatever car was sitting out front, the driver's side of the car. So all our cars had, the one, Mom and Dad's special car got put in the garage, but my car would just be totally paint gone on the driver's side. And so then I would be going, to school, and I'd be dressed. Of course, back then we didn't wear pants; we had to wear dresses and skirts. And I had my French horn in one hand and a pile of books in the other. And I'm going out to the car, and the wind's blowing, and I put my French horn down, and whoop, up goes my skirt and dress because the wind's blowing so hard, and I'm trying to find it, keep my books, and then trying to get the door open because the wind's blowing so hard. You can hardly get the door open. And of course, French horns aren't small. So, but in the office, the co-op office was right across the street next to the elevator. And my dad said the guys used to get such a kick at watching me trying to get to school in the morning because it was just like a fight the dress, fight the wind, fight the hair, fight the... Welcome to Western Kansas. So that's not a cookie, but that's something.
I'm going to interrupt here. We've got Elsa or Elisa Jordana on the sidebar that said the word butterscotch brought her here, and I'm going to give the recipe for our butterscotch martinis. So
I am actually drinking one, and it's delicious. So tell her what to go make.
To use 1 shot of butter shots, 1 shot of Bailey's, and a half a shot of vanilla vodka. You put those. No,
I used a whole shot.
Well, and yours will have a bite then. Dani, do we have to teach you all over again? So it's 1 and a half. 1 Bailey's, 1 butter shots, a half of vanilla vodka. You put it in a shaker, a little bit of ice, you shake it, or you can put it in a cup with ice and stir it with a spoon and dip the ice out.
I put it in a blender and made it slushy.
But it's really to die for.
But I used the whole shot. I used equal.
I think she's had too many butterscotch martinis.
Oh, I just like to drink the experiments.
Dani, you're having a good time. I can't wait for her foot to heal so we can drink together.
Oh, thank goodness. I can't wait for my foot to heal. Believe me, I am just.
So anybody else got another cooking story?
Okay, come on, Cheyenne.
Back at the kids again. I had a friend who came over and made rice cookies and didn't cook the rice. So they were pretty crunchy. And then I went to a sleepover at a friend's and we were going to make macaroni and cheese. And so this one gal said, well, I can make macaroni and cheese. And so she's putting cheese in the boiling water. There's all this junk.
Well, that's what you do when it comes out of a box. Well, somebody was talking about spaghetti earlier. And one time, and I'm going to tell this story on my son. One time when he was maybe 9 or about 9, I think 10 maybe. I was working and I got a call from him, and it was a Saturday, and he said, Mom, I'm going to cook dinner for you. And I said, well, I don't really know what we got in the house to cook for dinner. He said, I'm making spaghetti. And I said, honey, I don't think I have spaghetti sauce in the house. He said, no, I'm making it from scratch. And I thought, oh, I don't think I have anything in the house to make spaghetti sauce from scratch. He said, don't worry, Mom, I got it covered. I said, all right, don't burn the house down. He is my kid, okay? So I get home and I walk in the house and I'm like, what is that smell? There isn't a spaghetti sauce in the world that smells like that. And I'm like, oh, wow, this will be interesting. So he gets this plate out and he's so excited. I mean, he's 9, 10 years old, and he's just cooked dinner for Mom. And he's even cooked the noodles, and the noodles were perfect. He put them on the plate and he spoons all this liquid over the top of it, this brown liquid. And he gives it to me, and he's made me a huge heaping plate of this stuff. And I'm looking at it going, oh, wow, this looks and smells awful. So I sit down and I said, well, you come help me, okay? Grab a fork. Okay. So we sit at the table and I take a bite of this and I'm like, oh. So I said, honey, this is wonderful. What did you put in it? He said, well, I put in ketchup and barbecue sauce and Worcestershire, that stuff, Worcestershire. I said, oh, Worcestershire? He said, yes. I said, okay. He said, and I put in cinnamon. And I said, that's what I'm smelling and tasting. It's the cinnamon. So, long story short, I got full real fast that night, and he finished the plate. He loved it. But it was spaghetti sauce made with cinnamon.
I think I know what. I was just going to say, I think I know what I'm having.
That's all right, because I
You
put
put cinnamon in yours?
in mine.
Really? He'll be happy to know that.
My son,
Tell
who's
him
20
it's
now, does
okay.
things like that. He puts grape jelly on his hamburgers.
Well, you know what? One of the best meatball recipes I've ever eaten was those frozen meatballs. You throw them in a sauce that's half barbecue sauce and half grape jelly.
Yeah, that's the best.
Fabulous.
That's what he does.
Yeah,
He does grape jelly and barbecue sauce. That is so funny.
Yeah, you can't beat grape jelly.
That is a good
Yeah, he started doing it because SpongeBob, they were putting, what were those, jellyfish jelly in their hamburgers?
Your 14-year-old is taking cooking lessons from SpongeBob?
This is when he was really young. And so he's just done it ever since because he loved the taste of the jelly.
That's funny.
Tell you what, my whole family knows make sure to have grape jelly if I'm coming visiting because they know how much I love grape jelly. It's just
I'm gonna drop off a minute. I think HD's out there, so I'm gonna drop off and let her come in and tell some stories.
Oh. Yeah,
she's writing over
she was
here
still there.
on my screen.
Hi, guys.
So here she comes.
Am I coming through okay this time?
You're okay.
Okay, great. I actually do have one story that it's a cooking disaster fire type thing. I was in my office working, and my daughter was like 16 at the time, and I was making tortillas. I was planning to make tortillas, I should say. So I put some oil in the frying pan, and I says, Heather, can you just put it on and just, and I'll be there shortly. Well, I'm here working away, and then she goes, Mom, the kitchen's on fire. So I run into the kitchen, and the fire, the oil had turned into flames. So it was shooting up, hitting the cabinets. And I knew that if I didn't do something real quick, it was going to just set up the kitchen on fire. So stupid me, I never thought to put the lid on. Never thought to put baking soda or flour or whatever to pour it down. I just thought, there's the door. Let me get it over to the door. So I grabbed the pot, the frying pan. The flames are going really high. So I'm rushing across the kitchen. And, of course, the flames are eating away at my hand. So I toss it out, and I got my hand, and I didn't know when I started feeling it, I couldn't feel it all during the night. So I thought, I better go in. So, I burnt my hand off pretty bad. Got 3 burns, and, ended up at the burn unit.
Ooh. That is one of my greatest fears. That was burning.
Bad. I've made pre-filled cornbread muffins before.
What type of cornbread muffins?
Pre-filled cornbread muffins. Not intentionally. But my son liked them. I could swear I used to cook when I was a teenager because, I was, like I said earlier, I was in 4-H, did all these things. Mm-hmm. I made a birthday cake for my mom, and it sank so far down in the middle. And so I filled it full of frosting. And it was like this thick,
that's the end
fudge cake, but all fudge.
Ouch.
Ooh, I bet that was good.
Flat.
Did you get a blue ribbon on that one?
No, that was as an adult. I cooked better and baked better when I was a kid. Yeah.
I used to cook all the time until my kids got to be teenagers and they didn't want anything. I remember the last Thanksgiving, I made the big, huge meal. The turkey, everything. We spent, hours getting this meal together. And so we get the meal together. It's all real good. Everyone eats it within 20 minutes. And then
20 minutes
And then I made the girls, I guess maybe it was because I made the girls help clean up after or something and before, and they said, this is ridiculous. All this work for 20 minutes of eating. So now we go to Buco de Beppo, Thanksgiving.
You know, we went out once and we really didn't like leftovers, it because we didn't have any leftovers. You know, so that was the whole thing. So we still all cook, but there's so many of us now that it's like everybody brings something. You know, I got 20 kids. No, by the time they all come, so all I do is, like this year, when my leg, you know, is still in this casty thing, so I can only hop around. But I've got I'll put the turkeys and the stuffing, and they'll bring everything out.
We're spending things.
It'll work out. But yeah, we did go out, and we just decided we wanted the leftover. You got home because you can only eat so much, and then you get home, and then a couple hours later, it's like, gosh, can we have a turkey sandwich? We don't have any turkey.
Yeah, Jay and I would always, if we went over somewhere else, we would always make a turkey on Saturday, so we would have leftovers. And, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, so we decided that we needed to do our
I
own.
got so irritated one year because I worked so hard making a homemade, it was Christmas or Thanksgiving, and I worked so hard making this dinner, mostly by myself, and then everybody was done, and they went to watch football. And nobody helped clean up everything. So I started buying Thanksgiving in a box.
Oh,
yeah.
Fries by Thanksgiving in a box.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I know when I was.
You have to learn to you have to learn to delegate, and that was very hard for me because I went so many years, like with me and my mom and my mother-in-law all living under the same, you know, because we had moved them in with them in their later years. So the kids were so spoiled because mom and the two grandmas, of course, did all the, you know, they would say, oh, can we do anything? No. Well, as things happened, I was the only one left, and everybody was still used to going their own way. So you have to really, and it's hard, step up and delegate, you know, and say, okay, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. And it's okay, but it's kind of a hard
said
transition.
She discovered that Thanksgiving gravy won't thicken if you put vodka in it.
That just sounds gross. That just sounds gross.
Vodka gravy.
Well, if you drink enough of it, who cares?
Let's
Gravy
go back
with
to
vodka. Well, it's kind of hard. My daughter's a vegetarian now, so it's just like turkey is kind of like a no-no. So the only thing I near the end was only cooking. The only thing she'd eat was the mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
We got so many
The first thing I thought you said was my dog is a vegetarian. I've never heard of a vegetarian.
Yeah, I forced my dog to be a vegetarian. He eats only corn and peas.
It took me a minute. Oh, daughter.
Daughter, yes. Oh.
Well, you were talking about dead animals, and it's not a cooking story, but, you know, here I grew up on a ranch, and yet the dogs were outside, and so I went to let them in, and usually they're right there. They want to come in. You know how dogs are, in, out, in, out.
Yeah.
And so I'm calling them, and they come over, and my son's little dog was over, and this little tiny dog had this giant rat hanging out of its mouth.
Oh.
And I was like, no, stay. Drop it. And so he dropped it, and I shut the door. They come in, and this thing is twitching.
Oh, my gosh.
And I called my handyman, please rescue me. We can't go anywhere. There's this twitching rat on my back patio, and it's huge. And so they won't let me live that down because, you know, my mom's like, why didn't you just go get a shovel?
Yeah, I would have gotten a shovel and just banged it.
I called my handyman to rescue me.
How good looking was your handyman? Is your handyman really good looking?
You know, he's not bad looking at all.
Ah, see, the truth comes out.
Yeah, I wrote a handyman story once.
You did.
I did. It was one of my first indie books that I wrote as Jaymie Holland. Actually, it might have been the first. Yeah, it was pretty good, the handyman and the...
I bet you had some really nice tools, huh?
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Oh, jeez. Anyone else have any disaster type meals?
I can't think of anything. I don't know.
We had a
Probably,
turkey that
but I
was too
can't think of any.
big to fit in the oven, so we had to cut it in half.
Oh. Did it cook okay?
Yeah, we had to cut the turkey
That
in
was
half and then
big
bake
turkey.
it in half or roast it because it was too big for the oven. Yeah. And then my poor
That's a big
son,
turkey.
my youngest son is so picky, he will not eat any vegetables at all. He refuses. And then my mom made this vegetable lasagna, and my son is eating it thinking, this is great. And we're like, yay, he likes vegetables. Well, my mom had put ground cashews on the top of it, and he's like deathly allergic to nuts. And so the poor, oh my God, here he's loving these vegetables for the first time in his life, and the poor kid has, a really bad allergic reaction. I'd say that was a disaster. It wasn't hilarious, but
Oh, that's really sad.
The poor guy. It really stuck with him, and he won't touch vegetable lasagna anymore for some reason. No.
Did it put him in the
And
hospital?
thank God, because we were on a ranch in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, wow.
He had tons of Benadryl and what have you, but he was, just sick for 24 hours. Poor kid. But he's not a vegetable eater. He lives on pasta and bread and meat.
All I can say is carbohydrates. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love bread. I could eat bread.
Yeah.
I
I don't think I've
live on
ever had
bread
a
and
disaster
butter.
story when it comes to bread.
No, it could have to be pretty bad before I
Unless
would
it was in the
eat
garbage disposal, right?
I love it.
I dumped spaghetti down the garbage disposal. I don't even know why. We had so much. I dumped it down there, and it just swelled and blocked up the garbage disposal. So I had to, don't do that.
Oh, I've always accidentally.
Raw? Did you dump raw or
No, I actually cooked, and it just kept swelling, and it compacted our garbage disposal.
Wow.
I had
and he said no potato
do that
peelings either, the
once.
plumber, when he came.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that. I put a whole bunch of in, and
So
it was a mess.
does anyone have anything to promote? Because we're running near the end of the show.
I have 2 audiobooks out now.
That's great.
Yeah, Branded for You just came out, and Zach in audio.
And how can they get those?
You can go to audible.com. I think you can buy them on Amazon too.
Okay.
But audible.com has them. And anybody who, I'll do a drawing for a copy of Branded for You in audio to anybody who emails me at CHEY@CheyenneMcCray.com. So Chey@CheyenneMcCray.com.
Do you ever do rafflecopters?
What's that?
Do you ever do rafflecopters? That would be a great thing to do for rafflecopter.
I haven't. You have to teach me.
Okay. Well, next time we meet, I'll teach you. Okay. And I guess next week we are doing funny animal stories. It looks like.
Should have saved the
Wow,
rat
that should
story.
be crazy.
Yes, you can always talk. You can ad lib on the rat story. How's that sound? You can get into the more details of the twitching.
Or, and the handyman said it was still warm, and I'm like, no.
Oh.
Yeah, but then we can go into the handyman. being very handy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Casey says add a naked man.
Do animal stories.
I don't know. A naked man with our animal stories, Casey?
I don't know. I can't think of one.
A werewolf, maybe?
Yeah.
I
I'm
guess
writing
that's it.
angels and shifters now, so we could have naked angels and shifters.
Oh, there you go.
That gives me some ideas
There
for
you
tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, well, I think we're all done, huh?
Probably.
Like,
I guess we've said all we can
Until
say.
next week, huh, guys?
Yeah.
4 o'clock Wednesday.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've had too much
We'll see you later, okay? Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys. Bye. Bye.